Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be talking about a graphic novel, one that I have finished a couple of days ago, and that's being the first volume in the American Vampire series. The American Vampire as a graphic novel was brought to my attention by the channel called Steve Talks About Books and Stuff, as I'm pretty sure he was doing a video where he was talking about his favourite graphic novels or ones that he would highly recommend, and this was one of them. Although this wasn't the cover that he was showing this cover in that video, which happens to be volume 2. And he didn't go into super detail about it. He was just talking about it as a whole, and it looked really interesting to me, so I thought, okay, I'll go on eBay and see how much it is. And I found a job lot where it has volumes 1, 2 and 3 in it. They were selling these as one lot, and they were advertised as being second hand, but the condition of these is really fantastic. Apart from the odd scuff here and there, these actually feel brand new. So so this is the first volume, which I'll be talking about today. It's so beautiful, it really is. And this is the second volume, which I haven't read the second or third volume. And this is the third volume. This one is a bit thicker than the volumes 1 and 2. But today, as I said, I will just be focusing on the first volume. So the first volume of American Vampire was published on the 31st of October 2018. And it is the brainchild of a man called Scott Snyder, who is one of the writers for this, as well as the man himself, Stephen King. And the illustrator's name, I cannot pronounce it. It's there, but I always refer to him as Raph. The structure of this story is very unique, as well, first off, it starts off with a little introduction by Stephen King, which is actually titled Suck on This, which is 2 pages long. This is at the beginning of the actual graphic novel. You don't have to read this, it doesn't have anything to do with the story. It basically is talking about it's basically a little section where Stephen is talking about how he was approached by Scott to do this, to actually be a writer for this graphic novel, and his thoughts and feelings towards it. The graphic novel itself is broken up into 5 chapters, and they are sectioned off with these pages. And each section focuses around 2 time periods. So Scott is actually writing out one of them, and Stephen King's writing out the second, and that is constantly throughout each chapter. And it has here, not sure if you can quite see that, but it has one that's the first one's by Scott and the second one's by Stephen. And also at the end of it, there is a afterword by Scott Snyder, how he, which is a bit longer than Stephen's section, but it's really interesting as well. At the back of it, it does have some concept art, which is really cool. I love the art style in this. The art style is really cool, and as far as I'm aware, for the first volumes, for the first 3 volumes anyway, the illustrator is the same person. So that's good that it has some consistency there, and it also has some concept art as well for the characters and for their costumes, which the costumes for these characters are so incredibly detailed. And yeah, so that's, and it also has some little, if I can find it, little bits of the script with some black and white versions of the actual comic book or the graphic novel. So yeah, it has some extra stuff at the end of it as well, so that's all good. So before I tell you guys what the story is going to be all about, I'm just going to say my usual things here, that this is going to be a spoiler-free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this graphic novel. I might touch on minor spoilers, as I cannot really talk about this story without mentioning the odd plot point here and there that are really minor, but nothing that will spoil the overall experience of the graphic novel if you choose to read it, which I highly recommend that you do, because this is so much fun to read. So as I said, Scott and Stephen have actually both write out a section for each chapter, and Scott's section focuses around the present day with our main character, and our main character is a lady called Pearl Jones, who is a aspiring actress. She's only getting minor roles, and in films, like extras and someone in the background making drinks and all that type of stuff. This is actually set in the 1920s, 1925, I believe the date is, or the year is. We also find out that she has a best friend called Hattie Hargrove, but she's simply referred to as Hattie for the majority of this book. Hattie and Pearl are extremely close. They are besties. They always go to auditions with each other, and they always have acting roles with each other as well. And one day, because this isn't the only thing that Pearl does. She has a job as a kind of a waitress at this big producer's house. That there's a big film producer's having a party at their house, and she's there as a waitress, and she's excited about this prospect, about meeting him, and because she's a massive fan of his. So she gets a waitressing job, and at this party, and she has the privilege of meeting this famous film producer. But it doesn't work out how exactly she wanted it to be, or actually how she wanted it to actually turn out, as it results in this film producer turning out to be a very, very old European vampire, and there's a massive group of them in this room, and she's attacked and turned into a vampire herself. So when she's found, she many days later, she is presumed to be dead, and Hattie is really upset by this. She's distraught and devastated that her best friend is actually being killed. But has she, or is she really dead? So that is where that is basically the introduction to our main character at the beginning of this story. In Stephen's section, it focuses around the Wild West theme or section, where you can see up here the cowboys with their guns and the steam train in the background. And in this section, there's a character called Skinner Sweet, who we see at the start, who is an outlaw who has been apprehended by the law, and he has been taken onto a train where he's been ultimately trying to be convicted for his crimes and put to justice. But it doesn't work out the way that the sheriff who has actually caught Skinner, called James Book, who is referred to sometimes as Jim, as something happens to the train, and it results in Skinner and Jim and several of the members on this train to be crossing paths with a vampire who it doesn't really turn out well for them. Skinner is attacked and he is presumed dead. He's buried, and it turns out that he is been turned into a vampire himself. In this story, it's implied that you cannot just get bitten by a vampire and you then cannot bite the vampire and then that'll make you a vampire, if that made any sense at all. In this book, it's implied that if a vampire's blood, I mean, if you have a cut on your arm, for example, and a vampire bleeds on it, and their blood enters your bloodstream, then that will make you a vampire. So, as I said, Skinner is buried, and everyone presumes that he's died of natural causes or from this accident. But he, as I said, he's been turned into a vampire. And this group of vampires, which is the same vampires that turned Pearl, thinks of Skinner as an abomination, as he isn't exactly the same type of vampire as they are. For example, whenever the moon is in the sky, he is much stronger and powerful. He is really dangerous. He's not like a really friendly vampire. He's a really aggressive vampire. But he's kind of in the middle. He's not really good and he's not necessarily bad, but he is very vicious, if that made any sense. And as I said, these European vampires see Skinner as an abomination. And they want to try to put a stop to him, whatever it takes. And so in present day, we back to Pearl. When she finds out that she's been turned into a vampire, Skinner finds her and tells her that what she actually is, and he kind of eases her into what's actually happened to her, and that you are a vampire, you have all these gifts, you are like me. Because she was because it's not really implied, but or how this actually is, but she is the same vampire type as Skinner, as the moon affects her strength, and also also she actually, when she stands in front of a mirror, she's not invisible, but when she's standing in front of a mirror, her image is very distorted, and when there's nothing wrong with the mirror, but her reflection looks really weird. So she has to try to stand up to these European vampires and try to basically get revenge on them for what they actually did to her, as she feels extremely bitter and angry all the time. When she's in a vampire state, she's extremely vicious. But when she's in her human form, she's very sweet and loving and caring. She does have a love interest in this book that is really sweet and cool to actually read. But in present day, Skinner is in the background. We actually don't really see him that much in Scott's section of the book, but he's kind of in the background observing. He's very vicious, as I said. Think about Angel from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. How he's kind of like that, but he's not really sweet. He's someone that could easily rip out your throat and not think of it. He's very vicious and cruel. And they basically have to stand up to this group of vampires and have a battle with them, basically. So that's the main story of the graphic novel. It does have some twists in it, which I mean, they were interesting, they were cool, but it was nothing that I didn't see before. They were actually surprising, but it was nothing that overly shocked me. The vampires in this book, as I said, they are really, really bloody and gory. I mean, that's pretty much what Pearl turns into, and the art style in this is very bloody and gory. If you're queasy about blood and gore, then maybe give this one a miss. It's not too bad. but it can get very bloody, but it could have been a bit more bloody and gory. It could have gone, you know, like full on blood and gore and guts and people ripping each other's hearts out and like blood squirting everywhere. I mean, look at that with Skinner on the throne there. It's like, you know, he doesn't give a shit. He really doesn't. He's like pretty much, you know, like a really good villain. He really is. But he's not necessarily black and white, good or evil. He just does stuff for his own benefit and for his own joy and his own satisfaction. And he does like, he does like basking in the pain and suffering of others, especially the sheriff Jim Butcher, or not Jim Butcher, Jim. I'm thinking of the Dresden Files. No, James Book rather. He does actually like torturing Jim a lot. Yeah, it really is so good. I mean, I would highly recommend that you read this. It's very enjoyable. It is very good. It'll take you 1-2 days to read, maybe 3 days if you're a slow reader, but I really enjoyed it. And also, you're probably thinking about, because there are 2 writers in this graphic novel, Stephen and Scott, and you may be asking, was there a kind of a writing style shift, or did it feel that it took me out of the story when I was reading it? No, it didn't whatsoever. Although, as I said, Scott's section focuses more on present day, and Stephen's section focuses around the Wild West theme. As I said, characters in both then stories intersect at times. But no, it didn't take me out of the story. I feel personally that Scott and Stephen were extremely close, and this was a really tight collaboration with them, that they were both passionate about and that they were on the same page. So yeah, the writing in this style is beautiful. So in conclusion, I would highly recommend that you read The American Vampire if you aren't sure whether the entire series is going to be your thing, or if you aren't sure whether you want to commit to an entire series. I'm not sure how many volumes there are in this. I'm not sure if there's maybe about 10 volumes, I'm not sure. If you know exactly how many volumes there are, please let me know in the comments. But if you aren't sure whether you want to commit to an entire series, just pick up the first volume and see what you think. In my personal opinion, it is really, really good. I know I highly recommend this to anyone, especially if you're a horror fan, if you like vampires, and it doesn't present you with what you presume a vampire is. All these vampires aren't like Dracula. They do have other abilities and powers. Like as I said, the moon affects their strength, and they can see their reflections in the mirrors and other stuff as well. So the characters in this aren't just black and white, and I'm not just talking about the vampires and the humans. But it is so good. I cannot recommend this graphic novel enough. I really cannot. So that's it, guys. That is my review for the first volume of American Vampire. If you've enjoyed this video as a whole, please give it a like, comment down below, let me know if you've read this, if I've maybe inspired you to pick it up. Let's just have a talk about it down in the comments. If you've read this, let's just have a discussion about it. If you've enjoyed this video as a whole, please consider subscribing to my channel. It helps out so much. And I really do appreciate every single person that subscribes to my channel. And it's just so good. It really is. And it's, getting all these nice comments from everyone is the highlight of my day. It really is. If you do subscribe, please click on the bell so it just reminds you about whenever I upload videos, which are every Monday and Friday. And I will also link down below a link to my Goodreads account in case you want to follow me on Goodreads. So with all that said, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.